Hi everybody, it's Amanda from Queen of Hearts Photography and welcome back to my tutorials. Today I have a fun Halloween tutorial for you. In this video I am going to show you some different techniques and tips and tricks on some fun things that you can add to your images when you're taking pictures of your kids this year. I got a lot of like zombie effects. I'm not really into zombies, so my kids aren't into the whole zombie thing, but I know that's kind of like a big thing the last couple of years, or the whole zombie stuff. So I'm going to show you some different fun things that you can add to your kids' images to kind of just add like an extra special effect. Now, before we get started in this video, I just want to make a small disclaimer and say that if you are easily offended and you are offended by the fact that I'm going to take a picture of my son and turn him into a zombie slash dead creature, please stop watching this video. Remember, this is just for fun. It's special effects. It's what they do in the movies, it's what they do for advertising, and it's just for fun. So if you want to learn some of these things, then keep watching because it's going to be fun. Plus, I want to mention that this is all hand editing. There are no actions used in here. We will use 2 of my textures, which are available for absolutely free on my website. That's the only thing we're going to use in here because it just makes editing a lot easier, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is kind of add like a more dreary, deeper kind of effect to this whole image. This is a picture of my son, unedited. The only thing that I did was there was this big blob over here that there was something in the background, a blue thing that I took out of the image. That's all I did. So this picture I took last fall of my son, and I figured it would be perfect to use for this example since he had like a sheet over his head, and which is perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add like a darker deep effect to it. I'm gonna go into my gradient maps here, and that's not what we want. We want black and white. It should have one by default in your Photoshop. I'm going to set it to soft light. I'm going to lower the opacity down to probably like 70% before, after. The next thing I want to do is I think I'm going to add a vignette because it kind of just darkens the outer edges there. So you can go up to layers, new fill layer, gradients. You should have a vignette available by default. Why it's not showing up? What is this doing here? Why is this not showing up right? I guess, see if we can find where the heck is our vignette? There it is, our black vignette. Okay, set it to radial, reverse. I open my scale. I go all the way up as high as it goes, and then you want to kind of just adjust it. You can adjust these. Make sure you adjust them because he's off center, so we want it in the center here. Hit OK. I'm going to set it to overlay, possibly. Ooh, that's kind of intense, huh? I'll lower that down a little bit. Probably. That's pretty good, like 65% because that's an even number. Okay. Well, it's not an even number, but it's better than like 63. That's too off for me. Anyway, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to give kind of like this dead effect to the eyes, like if you hadn't been sleeping. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add a new layer. Hit your new layer icon. I'm going to set it to soft light. Come over here to my colors, and I'm going to pick like a red, not a bright red, kind of like that. That's kind of a pretty good red right there. Come in with my brush somewhere, set it to a pretty good size. That's pretty good. And I'm going to go around the eye. Make sure you get close to the eye, and then I'm going to bring the red down also a little bit here. I'm going to do it to the other side. This side's going to be tricky because it's a little bit darker in exposure, so it's going to give us some problems, but we'll work with it. We'll be all right. I'm going to add a layer mask. Actually, let's layer this down first. Let's lower the opacity. I'm going to lower the opacity way down. Let's try like 30%. That's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and add a layer mask here with my black brush and set my opacity down to like 50. And I just want to erase around the edges because it's going to kind of take that harsh line away so it kind of blends in a little bit better at the bottom. It looks like you didn't do anything, but you really did. So before, after, okay? Let's name these. I'm gonna name this one red because we're gonna add another layer. The next layer we're going to add here, hit your new layer icon as I hit it. Oh dear. We didn't want that. We only wanted one. Okay, I'm gonna name this one purple. We're gonna set it to soft light. We're gonna go in here, we want like a purplish blue. Something like that. That's pretty good. I'm gonna go in around the eye, not quite as far down as I took the red. Lower the opacity down. we'll probably leave that to be, whoops, let's try like 25%. That's pretty good. Add another layer mask in here, going in with our, oh, well, heck, you know what we did? See, we forgot to, you want to make sure that you adjust your brush, take it all the way back up to 100% when you're painting on the color, which I didn't do, but it's not really a big deal because we didn't want it at full opacity anyway. So it's actually perfect for me, but we're going to go back in here with our layer mask at 50%, and I'm just going to go around the edges just a little bit, just to kind of help that blend in a little bit more. That's all I want to do. So before and after, we're going to add another layer in here, and I'm going to name this one Black 1, set it to Soft Light. I'm going to come in here and, oops, we just need to pick our black. Pick your black, put our opacity back at 100%, and we're going to come in and take that all around the eyes, and I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. So ring it around, and then we just want to do just a little bit lower. We're going to lower this opacity down to probably 15% or so. Let's look at the before and the after. 15%. Let's try 20. That's a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to keep 20. I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a layer mask. Lower my brush to about 50% again. And just kind of take the edge off of the edges there. So that way it just kind of blends in a little bit better. Now we're going to add another layer. I'm going to call this one Black 2. Make sure our brush is back at 100%. And this time we're just going to ring it around. Whoopsies. See? We didn't set our opacity. Gotta make sure you set your opacity to Soft Light. I just want to ring it around the eyes. I don't want to take it too low. Just right around the eyes here. Lower the opacity. Let's try 15%. That looks pretty good. And I'm actually not going to use a layer mask on this one, I don't think, because I don't think we're really going to have too many lines. Well, maybe we will a little bit. Let's take a layer mask in, and I'm going to lower the opacity down to like 30% there and just take it right off the edges a little bit. Okay, we're going to add another layer mask, or another layer, sorry, new layer down here, and we're going to name this one Black 3. Make sure we set it to Soft Light. Make sure we bring our brush back up, and then we're going to take a smaller brush like that. I kind of want to tight line it right around the eye, the bottom of the eye and around the corner there. Okay, I'm going to drop this down to like, try 15. 15 looks pretty good actually. And I'm not going to use a layer mask on this one. You can see the before and the after. So there you go. There's the outside of the eye. You can take this as intense as you want to. Remember, this is just my preference. You can go in and you can make these a lot deeper and darker if that's what you're going for, but this is just my preference. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to add kind of like a dead zombie effect to the skin, and I'm going to show you how to add it really easy. Now you can go in with all these hundreds of layers like we did with the eye and add all these different colors and effects, or you can take my sky texture here, which is available for free, 100% free. I'll link it down below. Take it and drag it over. Go ahead and layer that or lower that and place it. We're going to set it to Soft Light, I think, yes. Add a layer mask down here. Hit Control I. Remember, that's going to hide the layer. So we're going to go in with our white paintbrush here, and I'm going to make it bigger. And this is going to reveal the layer. So we're going to just paint it onto the skin. Don't worry about the actual textured part. I'm going to show you how we're going to fix that. Just paint it onto the skin all around by the eyes. You see it's going to bring out that eye effect a little bit more also. I want all the skin, just not the lips there. Make sure you get make sure you get all the exposed skin, any skin that's showing. All right, perfect. So now go over here and make sure that you have your actual texture selected and not your layer mask. Go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. We're going to add a blur to this, like 15. Oh, we don't want that much, like 15. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think that's what we're going to keep it at. You can see how it blurs it out and it gives it like this dead, like blue, blackish, bruised veiny effect. I don't even know what you call it, but it's definitely a zombie effect. I want to lower it actually a little bit. I don't want it quite that intense. But remember, this is just my preference. You can take it as intense as you want it. Like 75% is pretty good. So there's the before and the after. Perfect for me. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is use my other texture, the brown bag texture right here. And I'm going to use this on the sheet because, remember, drag it over, drop it, place it, because the sheet is so bright and white that I want it to have like a more dingy, dirty effect to it. So I'm going to lower the opacity for now, and I think I left this on 100%, or I think I left this on normal, the blending mode. So add a layer mask in here, hit Control-I to hide it. Go in with your white paintbrush and just paint it on. You can use this on, we're definitely going to lower the opacity. I don't want it this intense. But you can use this on anything, on any of the clothing, because you got to think, if it's a zombie, they've been in the ground, they're not going to have a, oops, we'll go back and fix that. They're not going to have like a clean anything on. So you want to kind of make sure everything looks kind of dirty and grungy, and this is an easy way to do that. I'm going to get it on his shirt here. And now normally my masking is not on par anyway, but I'm being exceptionally sloppy with this, and I don't know why. I'm trying not to make this video too long for you guys. So maybe I'm just in too much of a hurry. I don't want you guys to have to sit here for 45 minutes and watch this. I know how hard watching a video for 45 minutes can be. So if you mess up, just go back in with a black brush, and you can go ahead and clean up the mess that you made there. I know we got some on his head here. Too much of doing something like this is not really going to show that much, because we're going to lower the opacity of this probably down to like 30% is what I'm thinking. Now go back in, make sure that your texture is selected and not your mask, and I'm going to add a slight blur to this. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur. We're going to go in with like 5 pixels. That's all I really want to do. Let's try like 7. There we go. Hit OK. Now looks like you didn't do anything, but you really did. So before, see how bright it is? After, it's really more dingy and dirty. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to show you how you can give the actual eyeball a more darker, deeper effect. Not like a darker, deeper effect, I'm sorry. Like a, by darker I mean like evil dark. like a film effect over the eyes. You've seen the zombies, they kind of have like that film, that dead, that white out eyeball type effect. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now I'm only going to show you how to do that on this eye over here, because in this picture it's really hard to pull that effect off because his eyelashes are so long, they cover over his eye, and then over here we've got this big dark spot over here which can kind of ruin the effect a little bit. So before we go in and do that, the first thing I want to do, I'm going to add a saturation layer, and let's take out some saturation. Like 15% out of the whole image, okay? I want to keep that, I like that, like take out the saturation. And next I want to add another saturation layer. I'm going to take out a lot of the saturation. Okay, and I'm going to go in to my layer mask, hit Control-I, go in with a white paintbrush, probably a smaller paintbrush, and just paint over that eyeball, because his eyes are so intensely blue, guys, and this is his real eye. This is there was no Photoshop done to these eyes beforehand. These are his real blue eyes, which are beautiful, but if you're trying to make him into a zombie, it's impossible to work with. So I had to take some of that color out. So we're going to go in, add a new layer down here, and I'm going to leave it on normal and 100% for now. Actually, let's lower it to 50 so it doesn't look so crazy. But we'll adjust the opacity. Go over to your colors, and I want like a lighter gray. We don't want to use white, so like a light gray would be pretty good. And I want to just paint over the eye to give it that kind of film effect. You see how cool that looks already? It's hard because of his eyelashes. We'll have to go back and fix that. But if you add it to this side, it's kind of hard to work with because of that intense dark spot that we have over there. But we'll throw it in there anyway. So go in, add a layer mask, go in with a black brush, and I'm just going to kind of clean up the eyelashes a little bit. Kind of right around the eye there a little bit. That actually looks pretty good at 50%. That's not too shabby. So what I'm going to also do though is I'm going to try, his eyes are so deep, I'm going to try to brighten them up a little bit. So go into your layers, play with your shadows and pull it up a little bit, and your midtones here, and lighten those up a little bit. Then with your layer mask selected, Control I, and with a white paintbrush, try to paint just over those dark pieces there. This kind of also lightens the gray, which I don't like, so I'm going to take my gray layer and I'm going to pull it up above that layer. You see it turns it back to gray. I kind of like that. I think I'm actually going to leave it. Looks pretty good. You can play with it, the different colors. You can play with the intensity also. Chances are your actual eyeballs are not going to be this intense, so they're going to be easier to work with. So I think the last thing I'm going to do is go in with another saturation layer. I'm going to take out the red. I mainly want to get the red out of his lips because they look too lively, but I think just pulling a lot of the red out of the whole image might really give it a much more darker effect, which I like. So that looks pretty good. We'll try like -20. So I'm going to hit Control, Alt, Shift. No, we don't want to do that. Let's hit Control, Alt, A. That's going to grab all of our layers. Hit Control, G. That's going to group them all together. So that way you can see the before and the after. Now you can play around with these techniques and effects for any of your Halloween images. Remember what I said, this is just my preference. You can go in and you can make them more intense if you want them to. And this is just stuff that I know. I wanted to pass it on to you, and I hope that you can use it this Halloween. Remember, be safe while you're trick-or-treating, and until the next tutorial, I will see you all later. Bye.